Okay. You know it's going to be a fun week when Jesus says, "You hypocrites." So this week's story seems different than the Jesus we usually hear about, right? We tend to sanitize Jesus and think of him as the good shepherd holding the cute little lamb, which reminds me of something. Oh yeah, there you go, right there. We like to remember the sweet and nice Jesus. We tend to forget that he was often a fiery preacher and teacher, and he didn't always have nice, sweet, and sunny things to talk about. For instance, he cursed that fig tree, right? And he whipped the money changers out of the temple. And today he talks about bringing down fire and division into the world. It seems like this idea conflicts with the Jesus that tells us to love each other, but it all goes together. So fire itself is a big symbol in the Bible. It shows God's presence, the burning bush, for example, right? Or on Pentecost, it smites God's enemies. John the Baptist talks about Jesus bringing fire to purify and refine. And then it becomes a symbol for divine judgment. But it also is a symbol of the fire inside of us. Christ is supposed to ignite a fire in our hearts, a fire that makes us act against injustice, to make the world equal for all people, which is what the kingdom should be. This kind of fire is one that purifies us and also inspires us to act. It's the fire of change that shows God's presence in the world. And this fire will bring division. That's a fact. We like to think everything has to be happy, clappy all the time in church, right? And in life. But it doesn't really work that way. If there's some kind of conflict and we just ignore it in order to keep the peace, whatever that means, nothing will ever actually get solved, right? It just festers and gets worse. And then eventually, when it does come out, it is a lot worse than it could have been. Or you can have stress heart attack. Either one. So here, Jesus is talking about discord and division, saying that it is an inevitable byproduct of being his follower. People who follow Christ are supposed to care for others and do what is best for everyone, not just themselves, and treat others as they want to be treated. And in the case of the disciples, literally leave your family and all of your possessions behind and follow him. So there are a lot of people who had a problem with that, right? And there are a lot of people now that still have problems with this idea. A lot of so-called Christians that have problems with this. In order to follow Jesus, we have to reject greed, selfishness, and fear, and face the harsh world to fight for what is right. That's our mission. Matt Skinner explains that the transformation and justice Jesus wants for us, quote, means oppression has to go, greed has to go, idolatry has to go. The same with exploitation, dehumanization, narcissism, and any other evils you can name that prevent the flourishing of all people and all creation, end quote. So this is kind of radical, and it's definitely going to cause problems in relationships, right? Because we all know that we all hate change. People hate change. And even more so, people hate the thought of self-reflection that leads to maybe seeing some flaws in themselves that have to be changed, right? But we cannot ignore such problems and disagreements, because that isn't what Jesus wanted either. He didn't say, I'm going to bring division, oh well. Too bad. The only way to learn and grow is to face whatever division in a constructive manner. Jesus has lessons for us on that too in other parts of the story. To speak out when someone we know or someone we even love is being hateful or oppressive or a bully. Michael J. Chan puts it this way. He says, quote, "North American Christians often suffer from a terrible affliction. We hate conflict and despise division. Far from interpreting these things as signs of Christ's presence, we see division and conflict as crises to be managed, contained, and extinguished. As such, American Christians have developed a well-worn arsenal of avoidance strategies, which we deploy whenever conflict and division emerge, and we call this peace." End quote. As Chan points out in his passage, we fail to see that Jesus is actually in the conflict, right? Jesus can often cause it, and that's a good thing because it causes us to think and to talk. And it causes this fire that's going to come and cleanse us and inspire us. Because nothing ever changes by ignoring it, right? On personal levels and on greater societal levels, Jesus wanted us to love each other, not play fake nice with each other. But loving each other means respecting each other, helping each other, and that includes also disagreeing from time to time, but trying to work it out. Because Christ can cause division, but Christ also has to help us heal the division. That's the second part that we like to forget. God's fire is a fire of presence, of judgment, of division, of cleansing and purifying, of inspiration. It's a fire of so many things. So we should truly embrace that fire and everything that comes with it. And then we can truly advance God's kingdom of love into the world, which is really what we're here to do. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.